Have you ever thought during childhood how your favorite video games or software applications were developed? So they were developed with the help of C programming. So C programming is a wonderful language that are widely used in software development industry. So my name is Nihal Ansari and I am here a software trainer at VKR Technical Institute, Lakshmi Nagar. Today I am going to teach you this wonderful topic, C programming, its introduction, and uh, how to run your code, how to install the compilers, and history related to C programming and all of those things. But before proceed to C programming language, let's just talk about what is programming. So programming basically is set of instructions to perform a specific task, like uh, we want to make a task like tea making. We want to make a tea, so we just need like milk. We need a milk and tea leaves, sugar. So they all are variables. Now we need a gas cylinder. So gas cylinder act as an operation, and then finally we have the product T. So this specific longer task we can set up to a set of instructions, and set of instruction when perform a specific task, it is called programming. It is not just up to about languages, but it is related to any specific task. And these set of programs makes a software like your favorite video games and your favorite applications. So this is about programming. Now let's move ahead. Now we have to talk about coding and decoding. So in coding process, meaningful sentence words changes into non-meaningful words, and non-meaning in decoding process, non-meaningful words changing into meaningful sentence and words. So this is the process of coding and decoding and how we use in this programming. So let's talk a little bit. So how, and in history, if we see or visualize history, how this coding and decoding comes into a play. So basically there is a kingdom one and there is a kingdom two, and then there is a rebellion. So in kingdom one, the king one wants to annex the throne of king two, which is sitting in kingdom two. So he make a rebellion. He sent a message to rebellion that we want to annex the kingdom two, and want to remove the throne of king two. So how can he do that? If he send directly message, this message can reach to the king two, the guards of king two, and the plan of king one become failed. So how he can how the message can be reached to rebellion? So they send the message in the form of codes. So codes, in the message of codes, or we also can say ciphers. So the message of codes cannot be visualized by the guards of King 2 or by King 2 himself, and Rebellion then decode this message. So Rebellion then decode this message and have reached the information that King 1 wants to annex the Kingdom 2 and had to remove the throne of King 2. So this is how coding and decoding process is used. This is history. But how coding and decoding process utilized in programming? So let's talk a little bit. But before, we have to talk about syntax of programming. So this is the syntax of programming. So as I told you, these are set of instructions. So we have divided the programming into three parts. First is input, then processing, then output. So in input, like we want to have a task, I have already told you programming is all about task. So we want the addition of two numbers. So we want the addition of two numbers. This is a process like tea making, but this process is very simple. So let's do the help of syntax of programming. So we want to add two numbers. 2 and 3 are variables, and plus is the operation which is going to perform on those variables. Then in the processing side, 2 plus 3 is equals to 5, and output comes out to be 5. So this is the syntax of a programming. And if you want to perform the addition of two numbers, 2 3 plus, so we just have to do 2 plus 3 is equal to 5, and output comes out to 5. So this is a task, the longer task, and we have converted into parts. So that is how programming is proceed. Now in this whole programming setup, we send ports we send ports to processing unit, and in the output processing, the decoding process will happen. So how ports and decodes are used in the syntax of programming. Now let's move ahead and now talk about programming language. If we have the programming syntax, we can do work in by dividing the task into set of instructions. So why we need a programming language? So let's talk about, because this syntax is very difficult to understand for common public. Common public does not able to understand syntax. However, when this syntax converted into a language which can be understood by humans or common public. So for example, the languages, earlier languages like Fortran, COBOL, C, and so these are the example languages example which can be understood by public. However, the syntax is not very common to public. So public prefer the programming language and common public, and that's why we need a programming language, because syntax is a very tough. Those syntax can only understand by one person who made it, who's a genius in this field, but not to common public. So that's why we need programming languages to understand the syntax of these programming languages. Now move ahead. So let's talk about C programming language. Finally, we have understand programming, we have understand the syntax, coding and decoding process, and we have also understand why we need a programming language. So now let's talk about C programming language. So C programming language developed in 1972 by Dennis Ritchie at Bell Laboratories of AT&T American Telephone and Telegraph. So this is a logo of C programming language, and it is a very easy language. It have advantages over earlier language like Fortran and COBOL. So it is applied in UNIX operating system, and you can see the photo of founder Dennis Ritchie. So he had developed the C programming language. Now let's move ahead. Now we have told you about C programming language, but why you have to choose C programming languages? Why C is a easier programming language than other programming language? So let's talk about that. About the features of C programming language. So but first is that it is a very simple programming language, and how. So basically it have a very easy syntax whole, and it have a library functions rich library functions. So it's a very easy programming languages. The second point is it is machine independent. That means it is portable and can be executed can be executed on different machines. So it's a machine independent language. Now, the third point about it's a mid-level programming language, which means it contains both the features of low-level and high-level programming language. So it's a code contains the features of low level and high level programming language. That's why it's called mid level programming language. And it is a structured programming language, which means that Now we have broke the program into set of instruction. We can broke further program into block of code. Program into block of codes which we are going to call functions, which we are going to study further. But let's focus on this. That's a very structured programming language. It have started from this braces and end with this braces, so it's have a very easy syntax. Okay. Now next point is it have a rich library, which means it have some, you know, large number of inbuilt functions. Large number of inbuilt functions. Large number of inbuilt functions. Now next talk about that. It have a memory management, which means it allows to perform dynamic memory allocation or reallocation. So it have a advantage of memory management. So these are features of C programming language and why we have chosen C as a programming language. So these are the features mentioned. Now let's move ahead and let's talk about our first program. So sorry. So let's talk about our first program. So this is our first program, and this is the syntax you are going to follow on every code in the C programming language. So it have include stdio edge and then int main. All of these functions I'm going to tell you later, but let's focus on the syntax. So it started from this bracket, then printf, return 0, and then this. So it's a syntax of every program when you write in C code. So let's move ahead and talk about each of the code. So let's move ahead. So how our program works, let's see. So first is include stdio edge, which means it's an standard input output library function. So it's a standard input output library function. It includes the input and output method. Now let's move to some previous lectures. As I have told you in the first slide, that programming is a set of instructions to perform a specific task. This is our task of tea making, and we need variables, gas cylinder, and operation as gas cylinder. But in all of these things, we know that we want some variables. We have to take some input. We have to perform some operations. But the compiler does not. The computer does not know that they have to do inputs and they have to put variables or perform operations. So that's why we include standard input output library functions, which tells us that you have to take some input from the user, you have to show output to the user, you have to perform some operation. So this is an inbuilt library used worldwide. Whenever you have write a code in C programming language, you have to include that library. It's an standard input output library functions. Okay, so let's move ahead, and then there is an int main. So this is the entry point. This is the entry point of every program. So this is the entry point of every program, and then our bracket. Sorry, and then our bracket started. So here we can enter our program. Now this is printf. So basically printf used to print data on console. See, so printf function is used to print data on console, and it is already, as I can say that it is already included in stdio library. So this is used to print data we have also scanf, which is used to take input from the user. So this is a function which is included in standard input and output library function. As in the task of tea making, we have we have to take inputs like tea leaves, milk. We have to perform operations like with the gas cylinder. So we have to include the input. So print have that used to print data on the console, and it included in the standard input output library function. Then there is a return zero, which just shows because you have used int main. So return zero for successful execution. So our program does not show any error, and it is for successful execution. And this is, of course, our end of the program. So this is our end of the program. And this bracket is starting of our program. So this is how a program works. Now let's move ahead. Now, how to run the program? So we have to run our program through a process called compilation. So compilation is a process which convert source code to object code. As I have already told you, in the process of coding and decoding, the language where the meaningful sentence into change to non-meaningful, and of course in decoding non-meaningful words changing into meaningful sentence or words. So same is the process of compilation. It's the process of converting source code into the object code, and it is done with the help of compiler. So how compiler works? So this is our source code. This is basically a program. This is our source code, and it converts into, so basically this we can say the language we understand, the language we understand as humans understand, and that's called source code. So this is uh, shifted into a language that the language computers understand, the language computers understand, and this is called code. So as in the coding, the meaningful sentence change into non-meaningful words, in the same the language human understand changes into the language humans don't understand but the computer understand. This is how the coding and decoding process work, and it is used in the computer programs. So we have to talk about the language of computers. So basically, so the language of computers is binary, and which have a digit combination of 0 or 1. So this is called binary, and the combination of 0 or 1 called bits. And when the the combination, this 8-bit combination means 8 times 0 or 1 combination called 1 byte, and one when these 1024 byte combines, it is called 1 kb, and when 1024 kb combine, it is called 1 mb. Then of course the hierarchy in 1 gb, 1 tb. As you can see in your mobile phones, there are memory size. In your computers, there are 1 tb hard disk. These all are made of the combination of 0 or 1 bits, and this is the language computers can understand. So that's why we need a compiler to change into a code that computers can understand, and again changing into a code by the decoding process that humans can understand to show the output. Now we need a compiler. So there are two types of compiler. So there are two types of compiler, we can say that, which convert source code into an object code, like an online compiler and offline compiler. So online compiler is available through online websites like programmis.com, onlinegdb.com. So I can show you in a minute. that how they works. And in the offline compiler installation required, an offline compiler like Turbo C, C++, Dave C++. So these are the compilers which convert into a source code that is the language humans understand into an object code that the language computers can understand. And again, the decoding process proceeds. So that's why we need a compiler. Now let's see the compilers. Now we have to see online compiler. So we have to just type online C compiler in Google, and so it has shown that first of all it's a GTB compiler. So we can say that it's a GTB compiler and it is used to run the code. And the next one is the program is, so it's a GTB compiler and it's a program is compiler. You can run the program. So these are some online compilers you can use for running the programming. Now let's talk about the offline compiler. So there are two offline compilers like Turbo C++, Dave C++. So in our lectures, we are using DV C++, and we have to install it. Installation procedure, its symbol look like this. So let's install this compiler. So just type DV C++ and then go into this web page. So it have an option of download. Now you just need to download it. So this is downloading. So you can see this is the Dave C++. After downloading, it will take just time. So let's open it and it shows this. So let's download this. And with the following instruction, it can download. You can choose the language English, and you have to see that what it demands. You have to agree to the agreements. So it will demand all, you have to add the all the compilers like C and C++ files to Dave C++ and all those things. Then you have to click next. Then you have to install it. So in my computer, there is already Dave C++ installed. So I'm not installing. I'm just showing you how to install it. And so when you install it, it looks like this. So like it have all features of file. You can open your new source file or you can use Control plus N. So it have all these options, edit, search. This is like a game. You just have to, search. You have to just act like a kid and search all of those things to see what it can do. But for our purposes, what we need to do, we have to execute, and sometimes we have to do compile and run, compile, run. So this is the statement. This is all of the thing we have to do. We have to file, new, open, save as, all of those options. So this is how offline compiler like DVC++ works. So let's move ahead. Now in the previous slide, I have talked about our first program. So now we have know all those things, that how to run our program. We have the compiler, we have already installed the DVC++. So now let's make our first program in the DVC++. So let's open it. So let's make our first program. And of course, we have to follow the syntax. We have to include standard header library, which is for, so I can write standard header input output library. Then we have to start entry of our program by writing int main. So we can write entry of the program. Now let's start our program by writing printf hello C language. So we have written hello C language, and just we have to follow the proper syntax, and then we have to write return 0 for successful execution. So this is our showing output to the user, and return 0 is for successful execution. So this is how our program works, and this is of course the end of the program. So this is how we have to write code in C++. Now we have to save our file. So we have to write save as. So it is, so we can write hello C language. You can save your name as, and it's have an extension of, you can see that .cpp, .cc. So this is the instructions of all of those codes in C and C++ language. We have made code in C language, so we can use this extension, and we have to save our file. Now after saving, now we have to execute it. So we just need to click compile and run, or we can also, we have saved our file, we can say it's compile. So let's click on that. Or to run the program, we have to click compile and run. As you can see, there is a compilation results error 0 warning 0. So this is the program tells in the compilation result that we have made 0 error, we have 0 warning, we have make our code very clean and efficient, and this is how a code works. If you are encountering an error, you have to remove the error, you have to follow the proper syntax, otherwise errors may come, and the compiler may gives you warning. So you have to be very sufficient or very specific to the rules, and all those rules and all those what we have to do, what we do not have to do in the programming syntax, I will tell you in further lectures, but let's focus on that. Now, after running the code, you can see there is a hello C language which we want to print to our user to the output, and this will come hello C language. So this is how we have make our first program in this C programming language. Now we want to make a program to print sum of two numbers which is entered by user. So let's do that. And starting of the program, we have to include our standard header file, and we have to do int main entry of our program. I'm not writing all those things because I have already explained earlier. The new codes I would explain. So now we have declaring a variable int x. X is a variable. I am going to tell you later what is that, but let's focus on that how a program runs. So this is we have declaring a variable, and printf we have to show output to the user, enter first number. So the user have to put the first number. We can /n for new line. I'm going to tell you earlier, but let's focus on that. And now this, you have to put the semicolon, and this is scanf. This is used for taking input from the user. As I have already declaring in the program, I want to take inputs from the user. So this is how used, and this is a percentage d format specifier, and x is the and address. So this is how we take input from the user, and then we have to printf enter second number. we just have to print new line and scanf. And now for format specifier percentage d, and we have to store this number into the second variable y. So now we have just want to put result equals to x plus y. So sum of two numbers is format specifier percentage d, and we just put the result. So end of the program, return 0 for successful execution. Take in scanf, I can write taking input from the user. So it is also saved in the standard header input and output file. So now let's run our program, and we just need to compile and run. It actually saves that. So in the output, it shows enter first number which we want to do, and we have to put the number. So let's put that. So it's enter the first number 5 and enter second number 5, again 5. So it comes out 10. So this is how a program works. Now again run that with some different values because it is taking input from the user. So let's run that. So here enter first number. Suppose we take 14, and suppose we take 26. So answer comes out to be 40. So this program works for any number. If you put two numbers, it gives you the sum of two numbers, and these numbers, the sum of two numbers in which the numbers is entered by the user. So this is how we can run our program. So in the first program by using DVC++, as you can see that using DV, C++, which is a compiler. The input we have put all those, the syntax I have told you earlier, and the output comes out to be hello C language. So this is how a code is written in C++. This is how a compiler runs the program and it shows the output. So in next lecture, we would talk about fundamentals related to C, like as I told you earlier in tea making process, the tea leaf, sugar, and milk are variables input, gas cylinder is operation. So we have to talk about all these variables in C programming, operators, format specifier, comments, and all of those things. So tune for more such updates. Follow VTR Technical Institute. Thank you.